Hello, everybody. We're back. It's been a little while, but yeah, so hello, welcome to Canary. Jacob here. Thank you for the people who asked, where are you? What's been happening? A mixture of life and Norwich City not being very good has culminated in a little hiatus, but we are back. And today we're talking about Todd Cantwell with Newcastle reportedly firming up their interest. Originally an inquiry put in, then a couple of journals have said that, yeah, they are going to potentially start trying to step that interest up. Really, really interesting what will happen in January, because it seems like, is this maybe a mixture of Webber trying to get out in the press that he is available? You know, we've seen the articles from the local kind of media, and now we're seeing that Newcastle are potentially interested. Because let's be honest, if you don't sell Todd in this window, do we have any other kind of source of money? Probably not. So used up all the Emmy money already in the summer, and doesn't seem there's much left with kind of COVID holes and all of that. And let's be honest, because Norwich at this level are just very poor. 1 year left after this year for Todd. They have an extra year. The people are saying that his contract's out in the summer. That is incorrect. They do have an extension on his contract, so he has at least a year left from the summer onwards. Hasn't looked like, let's be honest, for a while that Todd Cantwell is anywhere near to signing a contract extension. It's always been interesting with Todd, isn't it, compared to the likes of Max, Jamal, Ben. I know a couple of those have gone, but they've all had contract extensions. Todd, it's an interesting one with him. He's always seemed to be slightly different, even when he's come out before. There's always been kind of academy coaches, managers said he's always needed that extra push. He's always been that little kind of guy who's got the talent but needs to be pushed, and it always seems like he's just got that kind of ego where he's completely different to Max, who seems to almost get on with his job. Has been linked with so many more kind of teams, whereas Todd obviously, when we went down to the Championship, that first few games, Daniel Farke said his head wasn't in it when there wasn't even a bid in place. It was just rumours. And you think right now, with Newcastle with the money, what an opportunity for him to go there potentially and really try and make a name for himself. I think that he feels like he's done at Norwich. It seems like that. I'm sure he'll give his all if he does play. This season has been kind of interrupted with injury, then COVID has he had COVID, then people around him have had COVID, isolation. And then the couple of games he's played under Dean Smith, he's looked so short of any sort of fitness. Obviously fell out with Daniel Farke as well, and wasn't in the team. He wasn't playing again under Daniel Farke before he was let go. Dean Smith doesn't look like he's going to play him anytime soon in terms of Premier League action. Maybe comes back for the weekend. Who knows now with this potentially reported interest. But like I say, with Norwich's lack of any kind of money, you think that Todd realistically 10, 15 million needs to be kind of now, and then at least Norwich, whilst they're they've been really, really bad in the last couple of games, they're only 3 points off. Only 3, which probably 4 with the kind of goal difference, but really not that far away. Maybe an extra midfielder, an Ollie Skip type, can really kind of solidify up that midfield, and then you allow the Matthias Norman to get forward and be able to try and support the likes of Pukki, Rashika coming back. Hopefully he can be fit. Christophe Jolis needs to rocket up his backside. Maybe he could try and do something. And Norwich just try and find a way of being pragmatic, but also getting points. It would be wonderful to see. They look very short at the minute, or were at the minute after the Palace game, which was horrendous. Let's be honest, we all watched it, all kind of turned it off, I imagine, about 60 minutes in, because it was just absolutely horrendous. Or at some point walked away from it in anger at kicking and screaming if you weren't there. Obviously, the Gilmore chance were out of order. I think that was kind of a small cluster, which got into a big kind of thing. Again, what do we do with him? We've still got one loan left, one kind of foreign loan available to us in this window. We have to surely use that, potentially with this Todd money as well. Surely got to be used. Thing with Todd, what's he done this season? Absolutely nothing. Played 8 games, 0 goals, 0 assists, and 2 yellow cards. That is it in terms of the stats. Obviously, last year, 6 goals, 6 assists in 33 games. It really comes to the fore until probably the start of 2020, really. Scored a lovely goal against Cardiff, that long range attempt. And then kind of got back in his groove. The Sheffield Wednesday goal was really nice in that comeback victory. He played pretty well towards the end of the season when Norwich were really ticking, and Emmy just completely took over the whole team and kind of carried it towards kind of the championship title win. Obviously, first season back in the Prem, I never expected Todd to play. I'm amazed by the progress he had that season. 6 goals, 2 assists in 37 games, all bar one game. that season, and you just think that that was really where he was at it. Maybe that's where Norwich could have cashed in, because surely there was interest there, but maybe Norwich's asking price was too high. Reportedly in the summer it was 40 million. I can't imagine it being anywhere near that high, especially considering they knew if it went to January this year, which it has done, and he hasn't done anything, then there's a hell of a lot less now. I think if you can get 15 million for Todd Cantwell, who a Newcastle kind of perspective, or maybe Liverpool have been linked, we'll look at it as a 23-year-old kind of eccentric maverick kind of player who has got the kind of pure endorsements, those sort of things. You'll make your money back quite quickly on him, no matter how he performs, and you can develop him. From Norwich point of view, it's a lad who, can he do any more really at Norwich? I'm not so sure. I think it's almost both parties are looking at it and it's probably coming towards an end, really. The fans do probably go on his back a bit too much on the social media side of it when it's not going his way. You could say it was similar with Josh Murphy. Todd doesn't help himself at times with kind of, he's very eccentric, isn't he? Very different to any kind of local Norwich lad you would kind of try and put into a stereotype. He is just completely different. It would be a shame to see him go because it's still wasted talent. You look at it and say, at this moment of time, he's probably Norwich's most creative player when he's fully fit and fully on it. Is he a Premier League player? Yes, when he's on it. I'm surprised by that. I never thought he'd get to that level because obviously in the first title win, he didn't really feature very often in the Championship. It looked quite average when he did come in those 3 games where he was suspended. Looked very average, but was miraculous in that pre-season. Really worked on himself, and if he has that kind of dedication again at a new club, he could go on to again a very strong level. A lot of it is probably to do now with the kind of mentality of him. Maybe he does feel like he's a bit of a big fish in a small pond. I personally don't believe that. I don't think he's done anything for me to look at and go, wow, that's a player who can deserve to go and elevate himself to the next level, like an Emmy, for example. Whilst we wouldn't have picked Villa, you could see that he was a player that had elevated himself well beyond Norwich's capabilities. I don't think Todd's, to be honest, anywhere near that at the minute, but there is an opportunity there potentially to go to a big club in Newcastle who have got just absolute reams and reams of money. It surprises me that they're looking at him. Maybe he's one of those, almost not to be rude to Todd, but a stopgap player who can help kind of keep them in the Prem, solidify them, and then move on. On current form, he's not really going to help you at all. But maybe he needs that kind of change in scenery, change in just atmosphere to be able to really kick himself on again. Like I say, price-wise, what do you look at for a player who, like I say, 23, did score 6 goals 2 years ago, scored 6 goals last season, hasn't done anything this year. Has got still at least 4 years until his absolute prime. There's huge potential there. Obviously, a year and a little bit left on his contract when if the extension has to kick in. I mean, like I say, if you get 15 million for him, apparently, according to you, kind of in the nose, there's Norwich are looking for a 10 plus 5 million add-ons. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me too much. Obviously, with Jamal, it was 12, 15 million plus another 4 or 5, which kind of got it to around 20 million. He had quite a few years left on the contract. It was clear he wanted to go. Difference in league at that time to Newcastle, but I think 15 million, Norwich would bite your hand off for that, really. And whilst they will try and sell the point that he's got all the potential in the world, he's not going to be doing anything else at Norwich. It feels like the time has come for him to, if he doesn't leave in January, I can imagine he'll definitely leave in the summer. And I don't see him playing too many more games. I think Dean Smith was quite surprised by just how unfit he was. That's not Todd's fault in terms of match fitness. They kind of helped not being played. I mean, Daniel Farke obviously fell out over something. Don't know what that was. But then in the under 23, he didn't really look that interested. Looked quite lethargic there. Kind of looked like a player who didn't really feel like he should be playing at that level. But he's always been that kind of guy who you almost have to kind of kick up the backside and really try and show him the point of where he has to go to. Rather than him having that kind of instilled belief and desire, like a Max Aarons, who wants to go to the very top, but he knows how to do it and respect the club he's at. Whilst Todd hasn't done anything to disrespect the club, you can just tell there's a different mentality there. Maybe that's the difference between a defensive player and a more creative kind of. That's just how Todd's personality comes across. Obviously, don't know him personally. Seems like he's done wonderful things for kind of local charities, local people in and around, all of that sort of thing. He doesn't seem like a bad lad. Just seems like sometimes he loses his head a little bit in terms of the kind of the grander scale Norwich City. You can just tell when he's one of those players that can be on it and off it as well. Whereas like a Max, he's got very, very consistent kind of performances, and he will in the summer, I imagine, especially now Barley's gone out on loan. He will go in the summer, Max, to a Premier League club. I can't see Norwich staying up, so yeah, a Premier League club who will go and really then elevate his career. If you're a Newcastle fan watching this, what are you getting in Todd Cantwell if he does join your football club? Well, he's kind of a left winger, but not very quick. Very much like a number 10 playing out wide. He likes to drift in, get involved with the play, more on his left foot. So very one-sided for me. He scored well with his left against Sheffield Wednesday, which you'll think, what on earth are you talking about? But doesn't do that very often. He's a very kind of interesting player in terms of does like to kind of just maraud around the pitch, does like to take a few extra touches. It's sometimes difficult in a counter-attacking side when he does that. He does like to slow the game down. He is used to having possession. But on his day, he can be very impactful. A couple of years ago, he was, for me, by far our most improved player, and probably only second to Tim Krul, realistically, in terms of the players who had really done well in the Premier League season. He really kind of stepped up in the big games, scored against Chelsea, scored against Man City, and performed well in both games. He loves that big occasion. Just hasn't been able to replicate that this year with the injury, the COVID, all those sort of things, which have just kind of stopped him. He does have to really, I think this would reignite his career, really, to really kick on again, to go to a new club, to be able to kind of find new things. Like I say, left winger, would easily be able to play number 10 as well. Probably not deep yet, isn't disciplined enough. He does run back when he's fit and will track back. He done so much running in the Premier League season a couple of years ago. Really stood out for that for me. Really kind of improved his all-round kind of fitness and was able to get up and down the pitch very, very well. Was good on the ball when he's on it. Sometimes he can be a bit frustrating if he's not feeling the game. He can kind of take too many touches and lose the ball. He will try the kind of audacious little flicks and skills to get past players. And when he's on it, you'll absolutely love him if he does join you. But I think he'll rise to that kind of that huge crowd as well, that 52,000 that you get in, and absolutely adore Newcastle. It would be a huge move for him in terms of the ambition of that club going forwards. Norwich, he's not a massive loss at the minute. He's not getting in the side. I don't see how he gets into the side with his current fitness either. I just think it's almost a natural part of ways is inevitable. And if, like I say, Norwich can get 10, 15 million, there would be a big, big money considering what he's not done this season, which is very, very little. He's not performed. He's not looked anywhere near fit enough. It would be a shame to see him go in this kind of manner for me. I think it was almost inevitable in a way because he is very much like I say, a kind of a guy that will either be very much on it. Even then, it's still kind of keeping the wolves from the door from when he does have a poor performance. I think he is over criticised. Like I say, 2 years ago, I think is when we really could have cashed in and got bigger money for him, especially after a one season where you're like, wow, this not a flash in the pan, but it was so much better than what we'd seen from him in the previous year in the Championship. Even half a season in the Championship, he was again very kind of with that all that transfer rumours and everything. He wasn't great. He didn't look at anywhere near the level he did the season before. Then, like I say, second half of that Championship season, from January 2020 onwards to May, he was very, very good. And this season's just been so disrupted. I think it's time for him to kind of move on and take that next stage in his career. For Norwich, like I say, that money could be invaluable if they can get a loan player in and a permanent into that midfield to really structure it out, get a defensive midfielder, get someone creative who can be consistent. I know that's a lot. One loan can be the defensive midfielder, one can be 10, 15 million. Maybe I'm being far too kind of ambitious here. It doesn't seem like we've got many other options, but that 10, 15 million could be huge in terms of getting someone in that midfield who can run it, who is still far too open, being cut through far too easily, and looked so poor going forwards. 8 goals this season is horrendous. 5 from Timu Pukia. Incredible how he's got that many with the lack of service he gets. We need someone who can be able to create a chance. Some Argentinian we used to have did very well. I'm not sure where he is now, but no, that kind of just caliber of player who can take on a man, be able to press and help Norwich going forward and create a chance. So asking a lot for 10 or 15 million, I know, but that's what we need. Need a defensive midfielder to be able to sit alongside Norman, who can do that box-to-box role, and then a creative midfielder as well. And then we have so much more of a chance. Remember, only 3 points off, and we're still 3-4 short. The big ask, like I say, for Todd, I think it's the right time. Newcastle, you have a player with potential. I'm not going to say massive potential. We said to the Villa fans when Emmy joined them, he has no ceiling. Todd, for me, he does have a ceiling. I think mid Premier League table player would be his max. He might go and surprise me. I never thought he'd get to that Premier League level, to be honest. And he did do a couple of years ago. This year hasn't happened for him, which hasn't all been down to him. Injury, COVID has been unfortunate for him. This could be the kickstart he needs. Could be the money Norwich need to stay up. It could be the way that kind of works out best for all parties involved. Let us know in the comments below. Do you think Todd should stay? Do you think he should go? How much for? All of those sort of things. Like the video if you have enjoyed it. If you're new around here, make sure you click the subscribe button, and we'll see you very soon. See you later.